time for Type 40 Live, the live stream Doctor Who magazine show here across your view screen on Rumble, on X, on YouTube and Facebook. We cover and track as best we can all things Doctor Who from way back then to the literally right here and the right now, all in front of a live chat full of fellow friends, fans and companions just like you. And we've got breaking news on the future of our favourite TV series coming directly out of the Edinburgh TV Festival. Who'd have thought it so quickly, too? News on that as well. The war between, the news we're expecting, maybe, maybe not. And aside from that, who's cleaning up when it comes to awards season, the season that never ends? We got all the answers here on the Big Move, Type 40 Live. And the time streams are sort of rearranging around us as we speak, as we gather together in the console room, being thrashed around in the news cycle. Just when we think we know what we're going to talk about, we get thrown a curveball back at us out of the vortex from the BBC themselves, the evil BBC. Hello, I'm Dan Hadley, Birmingham's King of the Geeks. And what an afternoon. I didn't see that one coming. We've got a lot to talk about. Some dots to join, maybe. Some spleens to vent. And some more rocks to look under. You can join in the live chat as ever on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, and X. We want your comments, your reactions, your instincts, and everything in between, really, if you've seen the breaking news today. So we'll get right into that in a moment or two. So there's a bit of coral, a bit of roundel, a bit of everything. Yeah, and several doctors. Got more panelists to bring on, though, this time. More panelists than Time Lords. First of all, I'm happy to welcome back, off-brand, but always on point, Mr. Gary Akers.
Hello. Hi, everybody. Dan, I'm so happy to be here for the big announcement that, yes, I have been cast as the next Doctor. So I'm happy to, discuss that breaking news with you.
I did my bit. I wrote my 50. We agreed 50 letters each, wasn't it?
Actually, it took, 50 letters stuffed with cash, but apparently it did the trick.
What we call in Britain a bung. A bung.
Oh, real? Okay, a bung. Yes, the bung worked.
I've been bunged around today. Been bunged around a lot. It's been a while since something has happened sort of immediately that it feels that everybody's got an opinion about and everybody wants to talk about, isn't it? But when it does, even if you're feeling a bit of the sort of the funk of being a Doctor Who fan, it's sort of pulling you down, weighing you down a little bit. It's amazing how you can get sort of the fire in your eyes, Gary, and you need to return to the mic and the webcam to talk about it with your buddies.
Of course. That's what I live for, Dan. You know that.
He counts the days, counts the hours, don't you, mate? Counts the hours.
I do.
Until we can do it all over again and catch up with her, Charlotte Shields, too.
Hello, everybody.
Happy Thursday,
it was
Charlotte.
Funny. Yeah, it was funny because I've been out and about today, so I haven't been accessing my phone or the internet. I've been in lovely Liverpool,
living a real life.
Oh yeah. And then I got home and my phone was like ding, 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 ding. I was like, oh, something's happened there.
It gets like that, doesn't it?
It's so true. Like, as soon as there's any proper news, it's like a signal goes out. And it was just funny to get home to literally sit down and be like, something's happened clearly, because I'm suddenly getting lots of things.
Isn't that nice, though, in some sense? I mean, it's a bit weird each time it happens, but it's nice considering that when something happens in the Whoniverse, you talk to your friends, your family, the people closest to you, and largely, most of them just give you that look, don't they, as if to say,
what are you going on about?
Should I care?
Yeah.
Can you put a brew on? That kind of thing.
That's the thing. It's so communal, I think, our fandom. And like you said, we all talk and we all sort of want to sort of have those discussions, which is lovely.
Yep. It's not real until we all talk about it.
Yeah, that's a very good way to put it, actually.
It doesn't manifest, does it? I could think of no better way than to manifest even more than to bring on our freshly trimmed and he knows exactly who I mean. Freshly trimmed, no doubt in good voice, back from seeing one of the masters at work. It's Luke Walters.
Yes, I saw the incredibly sexy, talented Michael Bublé. So I've had a great week. Also, it's Beverly Knight as well, which she was even better.
I love
she was
Beverly Knight.
Yeah, she was great.
She's from just up the road from me, Beverly Knight.
Oh, poor
Wolverhampton.
poor woman. Freudian slip. But yeah, no, so yeah, nice little 11-hour round trip, but managed to get in a lot of Big Finish and actually which my poor missus was subjected to, bless her. So we had 2 box sets up and down. And yeah, I listened to one of the best Doctor Who stories I've ever listened to, be it visually or audio, and that is He Who Fights with Monsters. So it's War Doctor. So yeah, I highly recommend go checking that one out because that is
very good. So how did your missus get on with sort of 11 hours of concentrated Doctor Who? And more to the point, how did she manage with the questionnaire afterwards?
She fell asleep. She fell asleep within within 10 minutes. She was out for the count. But yeah, I had a great time. So that's all that matters. That's all that matters. And Michael Bublé was fantastic. I didn't wear my Christmas suit, which I'm really annoyed at.
No. Did he sing Christmas songs?
No, he didn't. But
it's too early,
actually, it was a 4-day festival. The weirdest lineup ever. Day 1 was Pet Shop Boys. Day 2 was Mariah Carey. So she's going out of hibernation. Day 3 was Stereophonics. Day 4 was Michael Bublé. And I was like, this is the weirdest. Hello, everyone in chat.
I would have gone to day 1.
Apparently Mariah Carey was just like gone. So but yeah, it was good. But yeah, he who fights with monsters. Yeah, one of
I suspect
the best
she's been
Doctor
gone
Who
for
stories ever.
Gone for years, Mariah Carey. I don't think she's been the full ticket for a little while.
No,
but there we are. Okay, we aren't the full panel. Never mind the full ticket. One more person to bring on. Welcome back to the show, Mr. David Milling.
Hello, everybody. Hello, everyone. Hello. All I want for Christmas is Luke. There you go.
In what way?
You tease, David. You tease.
I'd like him to serve me up the pigs in blankets. There you go. With a lovely elf apron on, and a Santa outfit. There you go.
Right, I think we're getting cancelled.
Yes. So if tonight gets a bit too scary, I've got my Ian Botham cushion to hide.
It's already scary.
So there you go.
A beefy cushion. I've never seen one of those before.
Yes, it's beefy cushion. That photo was taken after he'd scored his 145 runs at Headingley in 1981. And he obviously finished 149 not out for the cricket status aficionados out there. But yes, all is good, all is well. I had to hide behind that cushion when I was watching that new Doctor Who podcast because it was quite frankly the worst 36 minutes and 34 seconds I've ever seen. But anyway, all is good. I hope everybody else is well.
It's been 11 minutes since David brought up cricket. Sorry.
We're well-ish. There's a whole list of things we haven't got time to talk about, including the miraculous recovery of the
there you go. Wow.
He's positively... I'd got him down. I think that he was going to have to retire. He was such a physical wreck after playing Doctor Who for 3 or 4 months a couple of years ago, but it seems that he is fighting fit again. Here he is.
Lovely.
This is a promotional photograph for his new play. So he does seem to, for all the people who are worried about Shooty, he is back to full force and fighting fit.
Well, I guess he's got bionic knees now, right?
I was going to say
seems so.
His knees are very clearly okay now, aren't they?
Old Laura Koonsberg is round the corner with another series of questions and a mobility scooter for him, obviously. So,
and if that wasn't surprising enough, a surprising collectible. I love the Peter Davison era. I really sincerely do. But one thing I never saw coming was a special collectible figure of the villain from that story, Monarch, which was just revealed by Sci-Fi Collector this week.
Wow. I love that.
I love the Monarch.
one of only 750, and he's there with his gun, so he's giving it a bit of fugitive Doctor action. There, waving it around.
Really
I was
great.
very surprised to see that, because even though it was the main villain, it's still somewhat of a deep dive. This is one of the Davison stories even I forget about, but it seems he's got some fans here on the panel. So would you be keen to get one of these in your life and on your shelf there?
Yeah. It sort of immortalised Stratford Johns, which is a lovely thing to do, although it doesn't look anything like Stratford Johns, but never mind.
No.
But it's still lovely, and it's probably about £110, is it, or something like that?
It looks more like John Prescott, doesn't it? I'd say so. Yeah, you could be right, but yeah, you have to go and look that up on Sci-Fi Collector, and obviously tell them that Type 40 sent you. And if they ask which one, say all of them. All 15. So, yes, here we are. Let's get into it. Yes, so there's the Type 40 podcast, for example, available across all major podcatchers as ever. The Spotify's, the Audibles, Amazon Music, all those places. A very latest episode, that long-form discussion that I had with the fabulous, the legendary, he'll laugh when he hears that back, the legendary Ken Deep, the original Doctor Who podcaster, or at least one of them. He spent a couple of hours of his time to chat through the year so far in Doctor Who with me. We compared notes and takes. We come from very different positions in many ways on all things Who, but it made for a great podcast. Again, thanks to Ken. You can get that across all major podcatchers or our home feed at type40.podbean.com. But this is Type 40 Live on Rumble, X, YouTube, and Facebook, right up to date with what's happening out there in the Whoniverse right now that you're probably talking about, you've all been reading about, and I think few of us saw coming, at least for now. So let's not waste any more time. Let's have a tinker and a mess and see who's got what, who said what, and where.
Now, I suggest you start watching Type 40, because I can't. I've got to watch this little blighter. The job for... I'll have less of that from you, thank you very much. Know your place.
Know your place.
Look, if I have to run up a flight of stairs, you come and find me.
I'll be in the lift.
That's going to the bottom of the floor, then. Keep watching Type 40. There's good chaps.
What's going on? I've absolutely no idea already, but we're going to try and make some sense of the illusion and the delusion here on this edition of the show. We'll get to your comments on all of this in a little while, so don't worry, we will get to you. But this is our breaking news, Big Who, lively discussion about the pressing matters of the moment out there in the Whoniverse. And here, as ever, in the TARDIS cloister room, I'm joined by a round table of Type 40's best equipped. That's it. Check, everybody. Check your equipment. That's it. Yeah. Best equipped time agent. We cut back just in time. It could have been unfortunate.
Check your equipment. God, no.
We've got David Milling, who I think everything's fine with him. We've got Gary Akers, we've got Charlotte Shields, and Luke Walters here too to get stuck into all of this, all in front of a live chat there, people commenting along as we get stuck into this breaking news story. Okay. It can be a very confusing experience being a Doctor Who fan, particularly in the 21st century. I mean, I thought Kinder was difficult to predict and wrap my head around. But the general state of Doctor Who right now, I don't know. I mean, we've not done too badly at all in Britain this summer in the areas in which we're usually lacking. It's been quite warm, breezy, but bright. The thing is, the future for Doctor Who looks anything but bright by anyone's estimation. In wake of season 2's finale, we've had talk of pauses and the occasional awkward silence and some really cringeworthy quotes and clips. But that's all that we've really been served since the reality war's god-awful final moments. I think many of us are still trying to sort of rinse this away from our vision. Today, though, there's been signs of life after all, signs that someone's interested, invested, and not embarrassed. I don't know. And here we're going to discuss what we found out, what's been revealed so far. Radio Times was the first place that I found that were talking about this, just after 1 on Thursday, the 21st of August, 2025. They cover this every year because it's a sort of, I suppose, vested interest, really. They went with the headline, Doctor Who confirmed to continue on BBC with or without Disney, in those quote marks there. A bold claim, particularly in light of what's been out there in the news sphere lately. Various people saying so little and not appearing to know anything of what was going on. So what could possibly have changed? It all tracks back to the annual Edinburgh TV Festival for 2025. So it's happening right now at the Edinburgh International Conference Centre there in Edinburgh, as you would expect. It runs between, so yes, it's running for several days. So I think it's about 4 days. Yeah, so it's run between the 19th and the 22nd of August 2025 this year. And it's the 50th such event. It's largely for the industry itself. But as the media has sort of expanded, I suppose, and as pop culture has become more present at such events, this has made the radar of more commentators year on year. The Radio Times, obviously organs like that, mainstream organs, have been all over it, places like The Guardian and Broadcast. But now, when, of course, they bring up these populist shows, it's bound to make its way through to the individual fandoms, I suppose. So they've been joined this year by the BBC's Chief Content Officer. That sounds... How Orwellian does that sound? She's got quite a nice face, a nice smile. But she's the BBC Chief Content Officer, Kate Phillips. She's been in the post since around June. And initially, when she was put in place, there were concerns that she wasn't a friend to the show. Doctor Who hasn't many friends left, if truth be told, generally speaking, across the upper echelons of the BBC. But publicly, they say one thing. Privately, I suppose they say another. So this was directed specifically for, how did she start this? This is for the Whovians, she said. So, of course, people's ears prick up when they hear that, don't they? This one is for the Whovians. And she said, rest assured, Doctor Who is going nowhere. Disney has been a great partnership, and it continues with the war between the land and the sea next year. But going forward, with or without Disney, Doctor Who will still be on the BBC. There's not a great deal of fat on that. So I appreciate its lack of wishy-washiness. It's very direct. And obviously Kate Phillips is fairly high enough up to know. These are the exact matters that we've been speculating on for quite some time, aren't they, Charlotte? And somebody had to say something at some point. I think a lot of us were focused on events like New York Comic Con. I forget about these corporate dues and the fact that they get coverage now. So had you seen this, and how surprised or not were you?
Well, like you, I forgot about the TV festival even happening, because usually in years gone past, it's been very insular. It's been very just the people who make shows and who are part of the industry go and they talk between themselves. Like you said, there's been more press there lately. And if there's somebody of importance, they do get asked questions. And I think with her being there, she probably knew if she didn't say anything, it would have been put to her at some point about Doctor Who. Because like you said, Russell and Bad Wolf themselves have never given any sort of commitments when it comes to it definitely coming back. It's definitely safe sort of vibe. They've fallen
short. They've fallen short, I think, Charlotte, of saying it's none of your business. Don't ask us. But it's been quite clear that they don't really want to talk about it.
Yeah, there's sort of been, you can see, I've seen like this building frustration almost with Russell whenever he's asked about it. This sort of, like I said, don't talk to me sort of vibe. So when I did start to look into this, I was like, oh, so the BBC has commented, like, that's quite important. That's quite telling that somebody high up at the BBC has mentioned Doctor Who. And for me, though, this is a statement which is sort of, we already knew. That's how I take this, that the BBC was never going to completely drop Doctor Who. It's too much of, when it's working correctly, like a valuable brand for them, it's too much of a money spinner when it is sort of working. And it's very different that we're not in the 80s when it's very clear, like if you look at how the BBC were talking in the 80s about Who, that there was no love there, that they really didn't want it to carry on, that they saw it as an embarrassment almost. And you don't get that vibe now. So I think this is just the BBC being a bit more clear, like you said, to be honest, to sort of reassure and to say, we're not completely canning Who, we're not going to sort of put it out and forget about it. But if you look at that statement, she's not given us a time, she's not given us any dates, she's not given us any real details, because I don't think they can right now. I
think the difference, Charlotte, between the BBC now as it was then, and you're quite right to point at that specifically to the 80s, because the show was being exploited very effectively commercially around that time. But they didn't let that fact get in the way of making those sort of domestic decisions in a very short-sighted way. They would throw the baby out with the bathwater. They would make very finite claims and firm statements, and they would shut doors very unreservedly. That's not what's happening at all now, is it?
No, I think they knew that in the form it was with Russell, that it couldn't carry on. There wasn't enough audience. I think also there probably wasn't enough merchandise being shifted and money in that sense. The commercial aspect of Doctor Who wasn't working, is my feeling. I know we've not got any figures to officially show that. So they knew it had to stop. That's why we got called, that's why Russell said pause. But the thing is, now I think they know it needs to stop, but we need to rework this. We need to come at this again in a different way. Really sort of think, we've just had a relaunch which failed. We've just had an era which was meant to be this big saving sort of Doctor Who's back era, and it's failed. So you have to rethink then. And I think behind closed doors, there's probably a lot of meetings happening right now. There's probably a lot of people talking to try and think, when the show does come back, it can't fall flat on its face again. It needs to work. And how are we going to do that? And I think this is a sort of, like I said, reassurance that there's a commitment there. They want to carry on making this show, but they can't tell us when it's going to come back yet.
And even though this isn't any kind of statement to the press office, so she's not literally addressing us, Luke, but this is the first indication. She must know that this would make its way out to the broader mainstream media and to reach us. This is the first indication that we kind of matter, that it's being acknowledged, that people are sort of waiting. The BBC, like a lot of places in the 21st century, it's like lots and lots of chiefs and not enough Indians. And so you do think, well, there's all these different department heads. We have no idea who does what and who reports to who. But if someone can just take the time to speak directly to us in quite a clear way, I think that's fairly reasonable. I think that's fairly respectful.
Yeah, but we knew Doctor Who was never going anywhere because they're making a CBBC show. So who's to say that this is not it? I don't think she explicitly states it's coming back. They're looking at ways of bringing the shows to fans. So whatever form that could be is who knows? Who knows? I think I've been saying on the podcast since last year, January even, that the war between the land and sea is going to get shunted to next year as a stopgap for them to give enough time to do Doctor Who to come out in 2027. And I think that's going to be it. I think they are going to have a little bit of a break, a little bit of a reset. But it is good that they're talking about it. I mean, like realistically, I know was it Julie Tranter was up there, or Yeah, but Julie Tranter was
Jane
up there as
Tranter was
well.
there the day
Jane
before.
Tranter,
Yeah.
Julie Gardner, and Jane Tranter. Yeah, so you'd expect, especially because the war between the land and the sea has been touted as well. You'd expect Russell up there as well. But I know he was in Manchester for an LGBTQ plus film festival, I think called Scene, and he did Cucumber. But you expect Russell to be there as
Got his
the one.
priorities right as always.
Yeah, you'd expect him to be there as the forefront, as the person to be like, yes, Doctor Who is not going anywhere. We're still making it. We're still going to bring it to you. It's just going to take a little bit longer. But no, I think it's going to be. Yeah, the Disney deal seems to be dead in the water. It seems to be, from what I've heard, it seems to be dead.
Reading between the lines, this does seem to be the people who are able to speak gently walking us
Very tight
there.
line, yeah.
Now you've just said that, my attention is drawn to the fact that it states, or Kate stated, Doctor Who will still be on the BBC, not Doctor Who will return to BBC One, or even Doctor Who will return to the iPlayer. Just Doctor Who will still be on the BBC, Gary.
Yeah, this is an interesting statement because of the explicit things that are said, the things that you can read between the lines, and the fact that she seems to be focused on settling a question that's not really on anybody's minds. Nobody is really on pins and needles about, as Luke said, will Doctor Who be on the BBC? Everybody wants to know, did you finally kick Russell to the door, and are you going to make the show the way it should be and not in the way that's led to the unmitigated disaster of the last couple of years? That's what people want to know, not so much the fact of where it's going to be, because like Luke said, of course, it's still a moneymaker. Of course, it's going to be on the BBC. I mean, we do have the explicit admission that the spinoff is going to be next year, which I guess makes a certain sense. There's no way they're going to drop it during the holiday season. So they'll probably kick it to some, off time, low risk thing like February or March or something. And I think you can pretty much guarantee that Disney's gone, because if they were still in active negotiation with Disney, there's no way that she would get up and say, we're going to do it with or without you. No way she would do that. So I think you can admit from this that Disney is no longer a player in this for her to speak like she does in this statement. I also think that it's pretty clear that when she says Doctor Who will still be on the BBC, that means they're not going to offload the back catalog to anybody who might be interested, like Netflix or Apple or whatever, which I'm sure is a negotiating point.
There was never any indication.
Right.
There was never any indication that would happen, certainly domestically.
Exactly. So I think that might be kind of what she's indicating too, that, Doctor Who's home, in whatever shape or form it takes, will still be on the BBC. It won't be on, Netflix will never be the new home of the show, or Apple or whatever. I think that's kind of what that reassurance is about. But I think this is, as you said a few weeks ago, Dan, they don't come out and make definitive negative statements. Like, they don't come out and go, Disney's gone. They don't do that. I think from this, though, it's pretty clear that they are.
That's what PR is. Yeah. That's very much a staple of 101 of PR. Don't make closed statements that you may have to walk back at some point in the future. David, how Gary's just been speaking there reminds me of something Russell T Davies said quite a long time ago now, a year, if not longer ago, where he got into a spot of bother as well. So he had said publicly that whatever happens with Doctor Who in the near future, he said, we're ready. We're ready with different plans. It could go this way, it could go that way. That's our job, to be ready. We'll find out, and I'm dying to find out. But he said that there are versions of Doctor Who that he had sort of in his top drawer, if you like, that could go anywhere to any budget. And he actually did state at one point, we don't need Disney. We can pull this show off without them and without their money. And according to sources who spoke to Type 40 back then, there were words had behind closed doors about that, and BBC Studios were not happy with Russell T Davies saying that publicly even though whether that's true or not, even if that was what he thinks or not, they didn't want him to speak that way publicly because of how it may sound to Disney. But what are your observations about this piece here from Kate Phillips and your general impression of the lay of the land there and how it lines up? Because we haven't heard from you in a couple of weeks.
I'm transported back to 1989 with a certain Peter Cregeen, who was the head of serials and series at the time. And he is the one that decided not to recommission Doctor Who for 1990. And it's, no, we haven't cancelled Doctor Who. It's an important part of the BBC and blah, blah, blah. And they used to put out what I call holding statements, which basically say something, but when you drill down into the detail of it, they actually say nothing at all. And basically that's saying, yeah, Doctor Who's going to be at the BBC. But as Luke quite rightly said, well, is that going to be the CBeebies? Is that going to be BBC Books? Is that going to be BBC Audio? Is that going to be on the iPlayer? And essentially, it doesn't tell us anything new apart from the fact that the war between the land and the sea is going to be on next year. So, in all honesty, I don't believe that we're any further on than we were yesterday or last week or last month. All it is a BBC saying, yeah, Doctor Who's ours. And it's going to stay ours. It doesn't say, and we're going to start pre-production next month.
There's no time frames, is there, David?
No, absolutely. And I can see from the chat there's the horrendous amount of distrust. I'm not criticizing people for the distrust because we've all experienced this before. And we always used to hunt for the tabloids whereby, David Burton is the Doctor. I mean, David Burton is the Doctor. I mean, that's the best one. But, when the Star or the Sun or the Mail or the Express or any other tabloid would have so-and-so is the new Doctor, occasionally running once every quarter. And we had to put up with that. And when the TV movie was announced, we were just sort of like, well, yeah, that won't get off the ground, will it? There'll be another Dark Dimension. And then it did get off the ground. And then afterwards, it was another holding statement saying that BBC is committed to Doctor Who. Yeah. And, for me, it doesn't really tell me anything. And if I was to be a little bit tad cynical and to deploy that in a humorous way, I'd say, rest assured Doctor Who is going nowhere. Well, we know that. It's going nowhere soon. So, that actually can mean it's a double entendre in a way. It can mean that it's staying put at the BBC, or it's absolutely nothing's happening. But when it does, you'll see it on BBC, a BBC channel. Yeah, so it's the old term of kicking the can down the road, and that's how I feel about it. It's nice that you could say about it.
You could say that the clue is in the name. It's called the Edinburgh TV Festival. If she didn't mean bring it back to television, coming directly to television, then she wouldn't be at the Edinburgh TV Festival. They do have specific events and expos that are more connected with sort of broader marketing and brands IP. There's the D23 thing that Disney do, as well as several things that the BBC are involved with at places like Olympia and all that kind of thing in the average year. But this being the BBC and the left hand still never really knowing what the right hand is doing very publicly, you can't rule anything out. You can't rule any cock up out. You certainly can't assume anything.
That I just realized that even if, and as you, Dan, said, they didn't say anything about BBC One, just somewhere on the BBC, they could actually start doing reruns of the classic series somewhere on one of the BBC channels, and her statement would still be accurate.
Correct.
Doctor Who will still be on the BBC. Doctor Who's going nowhere. Fact, I mean, you know, if you parse it out, you know, that's still correct. But it's interesting that she doesn't say, you know, new stories, new worlds, whatever. She's not talking about that. She just says the show will still be on the BBC.
Well, yeah, and I've noticed, I think it was a couple of months ago when there was other executives at some event and they got asked about Doctor Who, and they made a point to not commit to a series 3, to not commit to a Christmas special, to not commit to Russell still being the showrunner. What they did talk about was the brand of Doctor Who. And I feel like right now the BBC is really focusing on Doctor Who is this sort of machine, in the sense of you have the main show and then you have books, you have DVDs, you have this, you have that. So they can still have the brand going, they can still have output with that title of Doctor Who. It doesn't have to be the main TV show as well. She's saying that Doctor Who's not going anywhere. It can be animations. There's so many sort of avenues right now that they can explore that is still part of Doctor Who.
Absolutely.
It doesn't need to be a Billy Piper series, or it doesn't need to be whoever's after Billy. Do you know? Because our show now has got this sort of how big it is almost. It's not just a TV show. It's this idea of they can keep stuff going and they don't have to commit to like the next televised adventures of the Doctor in that sense.
Absolutely. Yeah. And they still play out occasionally Doctor Who audio stuff from Big Finish on Radio 4 Extra. Yeah. At some nights at 6:30, when they had the odd season on there, and you know, so that fits in with her statement as well, that Doctor Who will be on the BBC, and it backs up what Charlotte and everybody else has said, that they are still putting out Doctor Who on the BBC, and it may be the first time that BBC listeners to BBC 4 Extra on the radio actually hear a Big Finish audio, and you know, so the BBC can claim it as new content because it's the first time it's been broadcast under Ofcom rules.
Isn't it interesting that they've already put out a trailer for the spinoff that said coming soon? Now all of a sudden it's sometime in 2026. Well, then why put out a trailer now that says coming soon?
Soon is one of those words that has it's more malleable than it used to be. We'll come to the spin-off in a little while, but she closed off. I don't know how long Kate Phillips spoke for, but the last documented word we have from her is this very sort of sound bitey, the TARDIS is going nowhere. That's the kind of thing we're used to seeing in tabloid newspapers all the time, isn't it? Russell T Davies, conspicuous by his absence, of course. Just last week, Russell insisted that multiple times, in fact, he hasn't a clue what's going on at all, almost to a point where it was as if saying, well, why are you asking me? Oh, I don't know, Russell. Why are we asking you? And, of course, we're not that far away from a time where Billie Piper was giving a series of delicate quotes and interviews, wasn't she? She's the only on-screen talent that's loosely attached to this series at all at present, and yet seems sort of sworn to a kind of secrecy, really. She spoke at the Orlando Florida Con, didn't she? So when was this? Only about 3 weeks ago, if you remember. And they really put her on the spot there. The what do they call them? The compere, I suppose. And Billy replied, "This is such a minefield," and she really had to remain silent for about 20 seconds before she could compose herself, just to wade in there. And she just said, "Oh, I was approached very last minute. I can't talk about in what capacity." So to me, it seems by that, I can't talk about in what capacity. She seems to know which capacity and is enjoying the cloak and dagger. But do I believe, for example, am I expected to believe that Billy Piper knows something that Russell T Davies doesn't? I find that next to impossible to believe.
But as we all know now, thanks to Doctor Who magazine, this era of Doctor Who RTD2 is now an alternative timeline.
Yeah.
So doesn't matter really, does it? So
who gave them permission to put that in?
That was a bit barely even worth.
Yeah, that has to come from somebody at the BBC for them to be able to say that. Surely.
But the fact though, it strikes me, Dan, tell me if this is a misinterpretation, that the fact that, you know, Billy just on, and, you know, she can't wade into this topic without admitting it's a minefield and that she has to be very careful about what she says. I mean, that alone tells me that nobody really knows what's going on.
She must know something. She must have some indication of something, and her agent must do as well. Billy Piper's a very much in-demand actress. I would imagine she's got time blocked in here and there. If they want to guarantee that she's going to be there to pick this up for however long, even if it's just for 10 minutes, she's got to have some idea when she's meant to be free. So am I really expected to believe that Billy Piper knows something that Russell T Davies doesn't, that Kate Phillips knows something that Russell T Davies doesn't? Meanwhile, one of the most powerful people on television is now painting himself out as this sort of jobbing employee who's been thrown around by the mercies of everybody else. I had a feeling last week that a lot of this was bullshit, and it's really starting to grow. And I appreciate the honesty of Kate Phillips speaking in the way that she has. It's not much. There's not much there, but it's something. And I just feel that lately, and I know it's only been a couple of months, and we aren't entitled to know these things, but if anything, it's these protestations of complete innocence and of ignorance. I find all that very suspicious, and it wears me down. I don't mind being told bad news. Look, sorry, guys and girls, it's not going to be around for another 3 years. You better go and find something else to watch. That would be fine too. I'd sleep at night with that.
What I think is happening, I think there's nothing solid enough for them to land on to talk about. I think Billy has probably been told a very loose, a very sort of, she said it was last minute. She made it very clear that this wasn't a well thought out plan by Russell and co. This was, God, our lead's going, what are we going to do to end the episode? She's made it now clear that's the sort of way this was done. So when you do something in a rush, when you do something to basically stop it from going to black, you don't need a well thought out plan. You just need to have enough of something to go, you're this. Don't ask me how. Don't ask me how that's going to feed into a series. I think there's a lot of ideas being thrown around. I mean, like creatively here as what's going to be the shape, who's going to be the lead, where the Doctor is going to be. And I think that's because they utterly didn't expect the show to get received the way it did. I think they were so cocky, they were so confident that these shooty episodes were going to be a home run, that everybody was going to love this, and that they were sorted and they had a plan. And then the viewing figures came in, and then the fan feedback came in, and then the press started to tear it apart. So suddenly all those lovely plans got torn up, got thrown out the window, and you're scrabbling, you're sort of running around like headless chickens to do something to end it. So now they're sort of sorting through their own mess, and they haven't got like, here's an outline, here's my episode ideas. They're just going, what do we do now? Like utterly we're stumped, and they're sort of all, like David said, like sort of you alluded to, Dan, they're all treading water publicly.
These statements that have come out today, it is being picked up by the mainstream media to some degree. You know, people are latching onto this. People are going with it because Doctor Who used to sell newspapers, probably still does, and it certainly generates a lot of clicks. So the places that are picking this up are addressing it and saying, like, the BBC's ailing Doctor Who, the BBC's struggling series. None of them are speaking about it as if it is sort of deceased, as if it doesn't exist anymore. But the people are aware. It's not just a secret that the fandom is keeping. Everybody else knows only too well the signals that this series is giving off and has been for some time. And so they must have heard that. They must have heard that too. We have got one more quote, David. This is from Lindsay Salt, who's the BBC's director of drama. And she added, the BBC will always stay committed to the series. Always is another one of those words that's more malleable than it used to be. I think we have to take this one with a pinch of salt. Obviously, Lindsay Salt is, again, high up at the BBC, very much a component part of the mechanism which would involve any show being commissioned or recommissioned. So you could say this is a very strong show of confidence in the series. Specifically the series, it doesn't say brand, doesn't say IP or property. And whereas Kate Phillips is the person in charge of content, this is the director of drama, specifically mentioning the series itself. So again, it's not everything. It's something, but it's not nothing. But this obviously spoken to an industry crowd rather than on the Graham Norton show or something like that. I think that these are signs of some sort of confidence, and at the very least, a plan of some description. I've seen these names kicking around, and we can't be expected to remember everybody.
But I know, Dan, I mean, you interpret this as very positive. I don't know what does stay committed mean?
I don't know about
does that mean we have we have a plan to bring it back full strength and to find a whole new crowd in the way that
this is what I'm saying, really. I don't know if it is vague. I think they're actually being very clear about what they're saying in the moment. They're claiming they're committed, which is it's a fairly solid thing to say. Commitment is a broad commitment. It is a something. I think it's difficult to be very positive about this until we get some indication of a timescale, a shape, never mind creative quantities involved. But I'd say this is at least a positive sign that they don't intend on jettisoning the show at any point in the short term or the long term. Whether they have any more idea how they're going to do that than we do, I couldn't possibly say. And I've just become aware that this picture, all it's missing, it's the height chart next to Lindsay Salt. It looks like a prison photograph from the States.
Oh, no.
Orange is the new black. After all, we've got another quote earlier this week. So the Edinburgh TV Festival has been going on for a few days already. And there was, of course, this guy, Rylan Clark. This should be a strong indicator that the Edinburgh TV Festival is going somewhat down market when this guy is involved. So Rylan Clark was there talking to Russell Tovey, one of the leads of the war between the land and the sea. And they got onto the subject of Doctor Who, where Rylan said he declared, save Doctor Who, make sure it comes back because it's a British institution. We can't not have Doctor Who. I've been the biggest fan of Doctor Who personally since the reboot back with Christopher Eccleston, and I've loved every single episode. So surely, if Rylan Clark says Doctor Who has to come back, then that's it. It's a done deal, isn't it? This man is completely oblivious to the fact that he was part of the problem in the first place. So, but you see what I'm saying? This is kind of becoming where the populist side meets the TV industry. I thought, well, could Kate Phillips have heard Rylan say this, or was this actually planned? So on day 2, you say that, then I come out on day 3 and I say this, round of applause. This gets us into the papers. So this got people's attention the other day. Kate Phillips' quote kind of delivers on that. Is it really cynical to think this might have all been planned?
Probably.
My question to Rylan Clark would be, Rylan, after he says this, I would raise my hand. If I get called on, I would say, Rylan, you've loved every single episode. I would say, Rylan, describe or name any 5 episodes since Christopher Eccleston that you remember watching. I doubt he'd be able to do it.
Yeah,
I mean,
because-
I think he could. If you watch him on Unleashed, sorry,
Yeah.
I I fundamentally disagree with every single one of you on this point. I'm so sorry. The
On,
Edinburgh
on
TV,
Rylan or the stuff we've been talking about before?
pretty much all of it. The Edinburgh TV is a
Okay.
very litigious film festival that's only going strength to strength and grow bigger and gain more international traction. So I'd have to disagree with you on that point. I'm sorry, Dan. And Rylan is, if you watch him on Unleashed as well, you can clearly see he is a massive fan of the show.
But Rylan
and he
Clark
spouts
is
off.
but Luke, surely Rylan Clark is the king of trash TV. He's about as mainstream and as transparent and superficial as it can possibly get. He's probably the fakest man on TV. So they're curious bedfellows is what I'm suggesting.
Yeah, but you can clearly see how much of a fan. If you watch the Unleashed episode and you see him on the TARDIS and you see him,
Fair enough.
and you just see how much he loves it, and he's like in awe of it, and he talks about his time watching Eccleston and Tennant and Smith and Capaldi, and talks about all the episodes and stuff. And he's like, I just love to be. And I was just like, yeah, this guy is clearly a fan. And I know he was on the episode.
Yeah.
I know the episode. Yeah, but I think he. Yeah, there you go. Sorry, that's my rant. Over.
No, it's better. I didn't watch that Unleashed. Partly because he was on it. I do see what you're saying, and people watch this show in all sorts of different ways. So to me, that's the least important aspect of it, his credentials as a fan. But it's more, again, the involvement of people like him, the Rylan Clarks, or activists too. It's either activists talking about it and using it to drive home whatever they need to, or to demand something of it, or it's characters like Rylan insisting they're massive fans and always have been, and getting some sort of inside track on it, or people listening to them, or actively courting their opinion. And I just find that very, very strange when there's people like Mark Gatiss who are genuine fans, who have something to say for themselves, who can speak properly and authentically, and so to have Rylan Clark talking about it, does that make me sound like a snob? I don't know. I just can't stand that man. And so the fact that he's everywhere, he's even one of the only people who's permitted to speak about this, I find it grating, is what I'm saying. I don't doubt that he likes the show. Yeah.
No, and I think if he wasn't in conversation with Russell Tovey, then we wouldn't have heard this. But I think because he's in that conversation, he's in the realm, we sat down with him. But Mark Gatiss can come out because he has that legacy with the show, that he can come out and be seen as a voice of it. If Rylan Clark is not going to say this in an interview down the road on This Morning and stuff. So I think if you take him out of that context, you wouldn't hear from it. But because he's saying it, they sat with Russell Tovey.
I think there's a middle ground somewhere between someone like Rylan Clark and someone like Mark Gatiss, between the sort of the chin stroking highbrow, I've seen every episode, knows them inside out, and the sort of big fake smile, big fake eyes, fake accent, sort of ha ha ha. Yeah, I think there's a middle ground somewhere, and I think I just think it gives off the wrong kind of aroma. It's inauthentic, and I think that what Doctor Who really needs, I think what a lot of these sort of populist brands need now is more authenticity than ever. Really, I think when there's so much noise and so much mistrust, I think it's
that Dan is actually kind of what I was trying to say before, because it seems to me that, and maybe they can't say anything yet, but it just seems to me that if they are so firmly committed, as you know, to bringing it back and restoring it to its luster and the strength that it had before, that they wouldn't have to, be so kind of, oh, we support it, it'll be on the BBC, that it wouldn't be like that vague. It would be something, I'm not saying, oh, here's the day and time it's going to come back, but it would be more along the lines of, we've seen, when the show is most successful with the viewing public and the fans, and when it was not as successful, and we're determined to take all that into account and restore it, something like that. That's like a little bit more of that. They're taking it seriously. That they're bound and determined to bring it back in the best possible sense. This just seems, like I said, too vague to me still.
I think it's a shame to use the war between the land and the sea now as some sort of doorstop.
Yes,
totally.
I totally agree with that.
Because whilst I wouldn't say that I've been counting the days and I can't wait to find out when this is on, as I've mentioned before, this is the kind of show that I would usually watch. So even if it wasn't tied to Doctor Who, I'd be down for this. So I just think it's a pity. I mean, they've started filming this nearly a year ago now. This was in Porthcawl. And they finished about 3 months later. So by the time this makes its way to the screen, which we know is a minimum now of 4.5 months away, that's a minimum. That's quite a gap. I just think it's unfortunate, and obviously it won't diminish the actual show in any way. Maybe it'll give them a chance to make it even better, make it look even slicker, make it tighter. I don't know how far they off before they lock things like that, Luke. I'm not as in the know with all of that. And obviously they'll show us more trailers, they'll show us more clips, and it'll give the cast more time to talk it up, and maybe Russell and Pete McTighe can find the time to promote it if it pries Russell away from whichever sort of drag night he's at. He's got the time. So yeah, I'm keen to see more. And the fact that it has been pushed back to next year, that this is the first complete acknowledgement we've had of that, isn't it? From Kate Phillips. I think that's a shame in one respect, but I think it was you that mentioned last time, Luke, that sort of having it away from all the noise, all the ambiguity, and this sense of this aftertaste that last season had can only help it. Absence does make the heart grow fonder, and they can decide where they're going to pitch it.
Yeah, because the way Russell's talking online, it sounds like it's done and dusted and locked by the way it sounds. The way it's posted on Instagram, he's like, yeah, after we've watched it and you think a show is great, and then you see the color grade and the music and all this stuff in, and it's like, oh wow. So it was like, well, there's a version then with everything there. So it sounds like it's picture locked and done and dusted and just sat on the shelf somewhere. But I think I mentioned last time, like War of the Worlds, that took 18 months, nearly 2 years to come out from the BBC. That took a long time, and they showed a trailer for that like Christmas 2020, 2018 or 2017, and then it didn't come out till like a long time afterwards. So yeah, I think it just makes you think though, like if obviously this is included in the Disney order of, was it 26 odd episodes, whatever, why didn't they just bank another series in? No, just bank another series in. Like they could have literally done Doctor Who series 3, done it did like a 5-parter, like a Flux type serial, and have like Shooty going up against the Daleks then, and you would have tied him up for the 3 years, could have given him a proper arc or whatever, and then just got rid of it. So because it doesn't feel earned, the spin-off, to me. It just feels a bit like, oh, this is step 1 in the Whoniverse, which is never really going to take off now. So it's like, well, why not just pivot it? Like, because at the time,
you're quite right.
Yeah,
it won't make sense to the broader audience, because usually if a show is mega successful, then there's a spin-off. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, massive success, short period of time. Yeah. We need more of this. We need another hour. Create Angel. This has been the same pattern over and over again. So to the general public, why would you spin off a show that isn't doing very well? That needs to. It won't make a great deal of sense. So that's why I've always believed that they would actually play it down to certainly the domestic audience. I'm not sure how Disney Plus would go with that. This quote, this series of small quotes that we've had from the Edinburgh TV Festival do seem to be walking us to the place where it's admitted we'll have confirmation of Disney's exit. It seems to be a formality, but enough about exits and disconnects. Let's connect with the people in the live chat there on Rumble, X, YouTube, and Facebook. We've got lots of comments about all of this breaking news story direct from the Edinburgh TV Festival. So let's go and check in with our friends there in the live chat and see what they've got to say about all of that.
You're watching Type 40. Stupid tune anyway.
So is someone somewhere pointing the way forward? That's the question. Maybe very softly with their little pinky finger. Stephen O'Neill has joined us in the live chat on YouTube, and he says the whole nation, and especially Doctor Who fans, were spared a fate worse than death if they had done a third season of Knees. Thank you. He left. That's all in sort of after the fact, isn't it? In hindsight, I think what Luke was talking about was sort of on the planning stage, really. But Shooty Gatwa wore a lot of us down. I think most of us down. I would just
because it was all filmed before his reshoots in February as well, January, February. So they could have easily did like, we'll just do a 5-part story with Daleks, and he's going after Susan and everything, and tied everything up, and then no one would have cared about the Disney deal then, because they just would have sailed off. So
people would have been gradually sort of letting it tick away, I suppose, just the way we always do in between Doctor Who projects and runs. Peter Harrington says, just let it spin on. Nothing will change. I can see why people feel that way.
Yeah, me too.
Nothing will
Absolutely.
change.
The problem is this spin-off now feels like it's just being used to waste time. It utterly feels like it's just been put out so they can go, look, you've got something to watch next year. And it's like, that's the worst way you can try and sort of get people hyped for a show. If it just feels like, we'll just put it out because we need some content.
Padding. It is absolute schedule.
Yeah, it's padding.
Padding beyond.
You wouldn't meet a more dedicated Doctor Who fan than Stephen Braddock. No. And he suggests the longer the gap between Who ending and this, there will be less interest when it's shown. I think that's true from within our community. It's totally different to the mainstream audience. To them, each Doctor Who season has probably just come around in quite a reasonable period of time. They probably haven't even noticed the gap there. And push it back to 2040, suggests Peter. So some people are really down, really down on this. What else is here? Let's work our way back through the live chat. It's going to be dreadful. We all know it, says Matthew Pounder. Oh, come on. We don't. I mean, we can't possibly know that. I mean, it does. No. It looks like a quality production. It's a different animal to Doctor Who itself, and so I reserve judgment. I mean, on past experience, it's quite likely that Pete McTighe and Russell T Davies writing together will not be able to resist directly addressing us and maybe saying something beyond the pale, but I don't know. I think it's a different prospect looking to this. Benign Crinoid is watching over on YouTube and asks, surely Rylan has seen proper Who. Didn't he get the inspiration for his teeth from the Stones of Blood?
I'm not sure what that means.
Me neither.
He's got turkey teeth, haven't he? So.
Rob Alexander's clearly a Rylan fan. He says Rylan's latest gimmick is his glasses. So I've not seen those. I don't think.
Yeah, that's the picture I sent you today, Dan.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's those. Oh, glasses. Got it.
Yeah. Okay. Do you know what I mean? You know that photo that I sent you? Yeah.
Yeah. Count Scorleone is trying to recast the next Doctor right now, pushing for Philip Schofield in from the TV wilderness. I think we could be waiting a long time for that. But thanks for the suggestion. Anyway, Count. And more comments. Rylan hasn't got many fans in the live chat. I say these populist TV figures, some of them I'm absolutely fine with. They are who they are. Can take them or leave them. But there is something about that man that makes my skin crawl. He's never spoken of any Doctor Who in any talk before. Well, clearly he has. I mean, I hadn't heard him either, but I didn't watch Unleashed, and Luke did, so it's evident that he demonstrated his credentials on that show, and I'm not going to argue with that. Maybe he grew up with it in some respect. Rylan is irrelevant, says Garbage. That's the problem. He isn't.
He isn't.
He's on everything, so he is relevant. I mean, he's irrelevant as regards. I think I know what you mean, Garbage. In that his wishes, his tastes are broadly irrelevant because he's in that respect, as he's saying there, he's just one of us. He's just a fan like us. So his view is of no greater relevance than ours.
He is the male equivalent of Claire Balding everywhere. But Claire Balding is lovely, and I like Claire Balding. There you go.
We've got lots of comments about Rylan Clark, so I'll let you venture spleen about him there till your hearts are content. But Funky wades in on the BBC. The BBC haven't learnt anything about public relations in the last 35 years. Well, in some respects, they have. And yet, in other ways, they haven't. It startles me quite regularly how many clangers they drop and how they misread the temperature. Not just with a fandom, but with the general viewing public. I mean, I think they've got disdain at best for the general viewing public and their license fee payers, which is one of the reasons why I'm not one of them. But there we go. There we go. Benign Crinoid asks, what does the director of drama have to do with the farce that is New Who? Well, it's a drama production, so they will decide collectively whether it's commissioned or not. So that's why. Richard Brooks says we have not been content with the content, and that is the problem.
I like that statement.
Very, very good, very clever. Reads very well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
At least the headless chicken is right twice a day. Reminds Crimpling Doubloon in the live chat.
Yeah.
There's not much positivity here, which is surprising.
It is understandable.
Does the BBC need to wait until Disney decides to air this? Is that how it's going to work?
No. So the BBC have first distribution rights because it is a BBC production, but Disney are a partner. So BBC will decide, and then Disney will go along with it. So,
okay.
Because it is a BBC production. It's a co-production, so BBC will retain the rights to it.
They have had some sway in the past, haven't they? They did have some sway about when season 1 started. But is it done? Would you suggest it's sort of done project for project?
Yeah, it wouldn't be in great space. So BBC would have final say off, but Disney would be like, oh well, we can say this for this and this for this, so they can have some kind of say, but the final buck would stop with the BBC.
Rob Alexander says that Billy is probably still negotiating something. They'll iron it out between now and whenever, won't they? Dr. Rose says, "Don't go, Dr. Rose." The viewing public were not. Well, they weren't seduced by it. The viewing public, the general audience, saw through it just as easily as the fandom. That was the saddest thing of all. Nobody was excited. Nobody was captivated. Nobody was asking the questions that they believed that people would. Again, they misread the situation completely. I appreciate they were seems like quite a desperate hour, but how did they get there on such a high profile, big budget, relatively big budget show, an important show? How did they get to such a desperate place? That's large scale, long term incompetence, in my opinion, however way you come at it. People wondering how long we're going to be kept dangling. 2030, 2026. That's only next year, though, isn't it?
27 is when we'll get the next series. Earliest.
Just coming back on what your last point was, Dan, about the incompetence. There's a very, very, very old saying that is very true in this circumstance, which is whenever you're speaking, whenever you're telling a joke, whenever you're at work or speaking and delivering something, there's a phrase called "know your audience." And unfortunately, the BBC has completely misjudged the audience of Doctor Who with the tripe it served up for the last 2 seasons. and probably before. Sorry, Luke. I know you're a convert to Jodie Whittaker, but but it's a case of know your audience, and the BBC didn't know their audience, and they thought better than their audience, and the audience voted with their feet because they said it's not for us. So, in order for the BBC to resurrect Doctor Who and take it off life support, they're going to have to really reconnect with their audience or the audience of Doctor Who and get to know them again and give the audience something that's going to make them want to watch, like the children that Charlotte teaches and deals with at school. If they're not mentioning Doctor Who, then, well, what's the point? You know?
Yeah, and it's like, let's look at what the summer we've just had of movies. And for me, there was a through line with majority of the big three movies this summer. They all understood their audiences. They all wrote and created content, so the films, that were not trying to chase a new audience, that was not trying to engineer a new audience. They said, no, Jurassic World, you know, you loved your dinosaurs. Let's really make sure the dinosaurs are the stars. Superman, let's make it positive. Let's have a really good love story in there. And then with Fantastic Four, they were like, let's do a really good family dynamic. Those are all the core things those movies needed to nail. And they did. So that's proof that when whoever writes these things, whether it's a movie or a TV show, write, like David said, write for your audience. Write for what is actually going to connect and land. Don't try and force something different. And I feel like for the last two Doctors at least, the BBC have been trying to do everything but what's traditional, everything but what actually connects. And they were trying to force, no, you were like this version of Doctor Who. You were like this kind of Doctor. And we've told them no. So now they have to go back to that. And I think that's going to be quite hard for certain people in the BBC to accept, myself.
Problem being is in the live chat here watching on YouTube. Hello, mate. And he says, just let the contract with Bad Wolf run out first. A minimum of 5 years, ideally longer. So he's happy to sort of sit out the next few years. And again, a great many people do feel this way. Simon Horton feels the same way, that the series does need a long time away from not just television, but from production as well, for everybody involved to go off and do something else, really, and for others to get involved, for a culture to change within the BBC, and for new connections to be made with ideally a new generation of creatives, of program makers, directors, writers, producers. I think that's the place that we should be at. But I'd like to get there. I'd like to get there organically, rather than this sort of big sort of steel curtain coming down and a long dark period of nothing. I know it's not the 1970s anymore, but I like the way that one era kind of evolved. And it just seemed to be so natural. One era evolves into another, leads into another. I think the Tennant era and the Smith era had that too. In many ways, they were so different, and yet one seemed to birth another very naturally. I don't understand why they can't do that now. I don't understand why it's always got to be this sort of boom that the steel curtain comes down, and that's that. In more positive news, B&M are releasing the Special Weapons Dalek.
Oh, cool.
Says Rob Alexander. So there is some good news there in the live chat. Thank you, Rob. I hadn't seen that news. It needs to be missed again, says Rob.
Yeah.
Domgo says the only way you'll get anyone watching Doctor Who in the UK by now is making it a reality cooking show.
Greg Wallace as a Doctor. Yeah.
We've all got our ideas about the version of Doctor Who that we would watch, that we would enjoy, that would fit with our lifestyle and the people in our lives right now. I think that everybody would probably give you a different answer about that. In all truth, the general public do want this show on, but in a recognizable form. They want to feel the way they used to feel, and more to the point, they want to see the looks of intrigue and fear with a small f on their own children's faces when it gets to the point that they're raising a family. And the legacy can continue. There's no reason why it couldn't have happened in 2023 into 2024. Many of the ducks were lined up. It just didn't happen, did it? Down to a number of factors, but it's largely down to incompetence. For the very first time, out and out blanket incompetence, when there was so much goodwill that had been regenerated from within the general British viewing public. I do appreciate the fact that Kate Phillips has said this and that it's out there for us to see as well. This isn't a secret in one of those darkened rooms that Russell T Davies isn't allowed into anymore. So to recap, Kate says, any Whovians out there, that's you, me, that's us. Any Whovians out there, rest assured, Doctor Who is going nowhere. Disney has been a great partnership, and it will continue with the war between the land and the sea next year. But going forward, with or without Disney, Doctor Who will still be at the BBC. That's as much as we're getting for now. I believe that whilst Kate here isn't really giving us anything that she doesn't want to give us before she wants to give it to us, and about whether a decision has been made, I feel this bears all the hallmarks of a story that's gradually being rolled out, and the confirmation of Disney's exit is a formality. They're going to string this out for as long as possible because then it's a bit more palatable for everybody involved, isn't it? And again, that's absolutely fine. Things will be thrashed out, and contracts will be inked, I suppose, and hopefully coming out of that somewhere will be a watchable version of Doctor Who to take over from where we last saw it. Further news, obviously, when we hear it, there's no official release date set for the war between the land and the sea either. I expect that will make quite a racket when that does get out. We'll all hear it, won't we? And as for Doctor Who itself, it will evidently return in whatever form. We're all Doctor Who fans here. We've all got our lines in the sand, and maybe they've already been crossed. I don't know. But if the series has meant anything to any of us, obviously we never completely give up hope, do we? The Edinburgh TV Festival, that continues until Friday the 22nd of August. That's tomorrow as of time of recording. Will anything else be said? What do you think about all of that and what could be to come? Are you surprised at the fact that anybody said anything at all? Never mind anyone so high up. Are you relieved? Are you happy? Or are you as fearful as ever when you hear that the TARDIS is going nowhere? Let us know what you think in the comments by all means, and we'll get back to you as it cooks with the rest of us. Time, I think, to leave the 21st century and all this guff behind us just for a couple of minutes. Take in some nostalgia here with golden faces and golden voices from Doctor Who's long distinguished TV past with the Type 40 Live Doctor Who ad break. Here they are, trying to flog us everything you could possibly imagine, from St. Ivel butter to Ford Cortinas. Check it out, and we'll see you back here in a couple of minutes.
Kellogg's Special K is for grown-ups who don't want to grow anymore. Those big crunchy flakes and that delicious malty taste make the Special K breakfast something special.
Something tells me I'm into something good. Tells me I'm into something.
When I pay good money for saucepans, I expect them to last. Haven't you? Now, Prestige Lifetime is guaranteed to last 10 years. And that means thousands of hours on your cooker, but a lot of time in the washing up. That's why only Prestige Lifetime have thicker stainless steel bodies, solid copper bottoms, and real teak handles. Excuse me.
You can put the dinner on. I'll be home in 20 minutes.
For looks that last, it's Lifetime. Only from Prestige.
Now, Mr. Busby, you say everyone is laughing at you?
Yes, they don't believe a word I say.
And what is it you say?
Well, yeah, you promise you won't laugh?
What? Oh, come now. You can trust me.
Yeah, all right. Well, when I tell them that a cheap rate local call dialed direct on their own phone costs less than 5 pence for 9 minutes...
Sorry, what was that?
A local call costs less than 5 pence for 9 minutes. Here.
5 pence for... You must be joking.
I'm not joking.
Yeah, Rover 600, automatic. Nightfire red. 14 months old. Leather seats, beige to match the interior. Yes, we've got one. Has it got the walnut dash?
At Rover dealers, we believe you should have the same choice of used cars as new ones, which is why every dealer has access to thousands of quality-checked used Rovers.
Yeah, what's this about you writing off CJ's Rover?
Including just the one you need.
Welcome back to Type 40 Live on Rumble, X, YouTube and Facebook for this breaking news edition of our live stream Doctor Who magazine show. Just when we thought it was safe to get back into the time stream, someone has always got to pull some sort of stunt out of the bag behind your back, haven't they? But I think we've made our way through valiantly so far. We've got a panel here waiting for more, and a live chat full of our friends over there commenting along as well. How lucky are we? Have we all made it back? Are we all in one piece? Have we all got our marbles still to hand and intact? Let's find out. Here they are. We've got Mr. Gary Akers. Love the hat, Gary. I always love your hats. Charlotte Shields is here too. Thank heaven for that. David Milling back into bat here, and back from the pavilion. And Mr. Luke Walters.
Oh no. Oh no!
What's he gonna do? What's he gonna do? And do
oh, God.
He's just
Oh no! Don't bring out a feather boa, for heaven's sake! Go on. What's he got? What's he done?
Oh, he's got a hat.
It's a comedy hat.
It's my. You said I was back into bat. It's my cricket hat. There you go. Lovely.
Gotcha. Is that what it is? Oh. Who was that guy?
Manufactured by Gray Nichols. There you go.
There was a bloke who used to wear, one of the commentators used to wear one of those. I remember, because I was forced to watch cricket as a child. I was forced to watch every sport as a child. It's why I hate it so much now. But yeah, it looks.
It's a cricket sun hat. There you go. It's what the umpires wear. So there you go.
Very dashing, sir. Very dashing indeed. I guess we're back here with the Big Who. More lively discussion on everything throughout the Whoniverse over the last few days, catching up with what you may have missed. The Umpire Strikes Back. Stephen Brannick is terrible. I can't believe I laughed at that. I feel dirty, Stephen. Dirty.
That's very good. That's very good. I appreciate that. Blowers.
Blowers?
Yes,
Says Count Scorleone?
Yes, my dear old friend, Count Scorleone. Yes, thank you very much. Commentator Henry Blofeld. Blofeld. He was on Test Match Special for many years, and his dad was a friend of Ian Fleming, and that's who the villain Blofeld was named after. So there you go.
Things you learn.
People are loving the adverts. Count Scorleone adds, find the Pedigree Chum advert Peter Davison did. He got 15 grand for it. We played it a couple of weeks ago. There's not a single Doctor Who advert that we haven't got in our Matrix data bank. We've played them all, and they'll all come round again. So make sure that you're subscribed. If it's not worth it for that, I don't know what is, quite frankly. People throwing around their cricketing credentials here in the live chat as well. Blofeld was a brilliant commentator. I think that's the wrong bloke.
Yeah, Henry
Blofeld. Did he used to take his cat in? Oh, okay.
Yeah. Henry Blofeld. His dad was a friend of Ian Fleming's, and that's who the character Blofeld was named after.
Now,
I'm
those
sorry,
of you
but
those of you dropping the same question in the chat over and over again on every show, no, I will ban you if I have to. No spamming in the chat, thank you. I know you're excited for the season 13 box set, but by posting it over and over in here, it's not going to make it come any quicker. We don't know, you don't know, they don't know. Give it a rest. The master drives a rover, says Dom Go, and yeah. I wonder what car the Rani would drive.
She'd drive a Maestro, I think. Austin Motors, a Maestro, or a Citroen 2CV. I think
she's driving an Austin Omega at the moment.
Yeah.
Or at least doing the best. Doing the very best that she can. Speaking of doing the best that you can, awards season continues. I'm not convinced awards season ever ends, actually, now, Gary. I mean, I don't watch ceremonies or anything like that anymore. I don't begrudge. I've always said I don't begrudge people getting awards. I think it's a lovely thing. In fact, we have an award-winning panelist here on the panel net. Look at him grinning like a Cheshire cat. Bless his heart. He doesn't like to talk about it, do you, mate? Doesn't like to talk about it.
It's not me. It's a different room. It's a completely different room. I've never been in that room in my life. So, yeah.
But for a second year in a row, it's been confirmed that Doctor Who has won this particular award. It's the Television Critics Association Award for Outstanding Achievement in Family Programming. Are we talking about the same show? Okay. Now, I'd never heard of the Television Critics Association before. I don't mind telling you, Gary. It turns out it's made up, it says here, of 230 professional journalists who cover television for publications across the United States of America and Canada. They claim that their members are critics, reporters, editors, pop culture influencers, and they've got a reach of millions of fans, viewers, and industry insiders each week across print and the internet and newsletters and various other things. So had you heard of the Television Critics Association then, Gary?
Yes, it's one of the multiple faux awards, in my opinion, that Hollywood creates to pat themselves on the back because, of course, the television critics Hollywood's all about like puffing yourself up to make yourself feel as important and as influential as possible. So of course you're going to have an organization that creates an award show where they get to be the ones to decide the winners because they're that important. So it's all about self-promotion and which is what Hollywood does best.
So it's
would you say 230? Of course.
230.
I mean, how many people voted in the Oscars? But it's like
these are relatively new boards that are set up then, partly in response to the fact that many of the conventional of the legacy awards, they moved to polling the likes of us, the great unwashed, the tasteless masses who need to be told what we like and what's good for us. Is that you're kind of reading of it?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, it'll be, chances are the winners, might be like just like the Oscars, like the Oscars these days are like movies nobody's ever heard of that were out for a week that tick all the boxes. That'll probably be these shows, the shows that tick all the boxes, but that got no popular support. I'm guessing.
Doctor Who has won
Case in
Television
point.
Critics Association Award for, I'm going to say it again, Outstanding Achievement in Family Programming. Charlotte, I never heard of them, and this is for the entirety of season 2 as well. They've just decided to give it this, and we've got this quote here from Matt Medvich, who's a board member, and he says, in the long-running sci-fi series latest season, they explored timely concepts such as race, inclusivity, and incel culture. fantasy concepts like that. In doing so, Doctor Who invited families watching together or separately to have important discussions and transcend their co-viewing experience. It was like an out-of-body experience. It sounds incredible. What's more, Matt went on to say, the series also aims to resolve conflict through clever problem solving and rational mediation, and never with gratuitous violence. David, perish the thought.
No taser scene then, no electric.
Yeah, I was going to
scene
say, have we forgotten the fact that he tortured somebody and he laughed that somebody else got killed?
Yeah.
Like, it's so funny that by that statement, it just shows, I feel like they didn't even watch the episodes. It's like they just knew the sort of the buzzword for every episode that was meant to be this exploration of stuff. And actually, it was done incredibly, I think, very shallow, in a shallow fashion, in not showing any nuance with those concepts. It was very, here's your villain, and they are terrible. Let's not give any more layers at all, especially with the incel stuff. It was a cartoon. It was a stereotype, that boyfriend character. And it's like there, he didn't say about quality. Did you notice?
Yeah,
he
absolutely.
Didn't talk about how well and how sort of clever, except from at the end when they tried to make it sound like there was some sort of actual, no, we're giving it because of the actual writing, not just, oh, it hit these points. Like, that's just off my reading of that comment. It felt like it was worthy. Like, you sort of hear that term worthy be thrown around.
Yeah.
That's what I was getting off that.
Yeah.
The very first line in that comment, Dan, that you wrote tells you exactly what their main priorities are. Diversity, inclusion, incel culture. That's it. That's their absolute priorities.
So as long as those boxes were ticked, those factors were observed, the fact that somebody, I knew that people would go there because my mind did instantly. People being tortured is neither here nor there. Okay, it only happens once, but it happens for quite a long time. And this was made quite a long time ago. They had plenty of time to rethink. It went before several sets of eyes before it made its way to the screen. Do you think that Matt here, the board member from these awards, from the TCAs, do you think he just saw what he wanted to see, or it was almost, once those boxes were ticked, it was academic, what was actually in the content of the episodes itself, what they were really saying?
I don't think he actually watched them.
Because I don't want to be the guy. I don't want to be the guy, David, who sits here like complaining because Doctor Who's won an award. But because I read it and I initially thought, oh, it's not all bad news then. But of course, then I read the quote and I thought, what? Are we watching the same show?
Like I said, the first line is their main priorities. As Charlotte said, the second paragraph there is just meaningless PR blather. And the third paragraph is their rationalization to make it sound like there was thought behind, to kind of disguise the fact that they're about, to make it sound like they're about more than the race, inclusivity, DEI, and so.
I mean, the thing is as well, Gary, in my view, these particular episodes, and part of my problem with them isn't the fact that they raised these topics. It's in the fact that they didn't explore them. They framed them from a particular position to suit themselves and their own ideologies, not in the way that Doctor Who used to, or in ways that classic Star Trek used to, or proper science fiction used to. They chose how they wanted to represent people who live a certain way, believe a certain set of things that don't line up with the things that they believe, or who hold different values in a very sort of dismissive way. None of us are ever going to forget polish, are we? That's how this Doctor deals with people who are unsavory or misguided even. This is a perfectly appropriate fate for, just as you said, Charlotte, that sort of
stereotype. That's how he was written. There was no nuance. And that's the thing. But we've said this so many times before. We're not against these concepts being in the show. It's how you write them. It's how you write characters which embody these ideas. Yeah. And it's the fact that Russell, I feel like, multiple times, instead of showing both sides of the aisle and both sides of an argument, he just decided he was the villain of the piece, and that was it. There was nothing else to sort of get your teeth into. Conrad, for example, I've said this before, brilliant concept for a villain. I think the concept of let's have a
perfectly
guy
viable
that sort of uses social media at times, uses sort of charisma, and uses sort of some actual truths, which is the fact that UNIT were shady. They weren't in the sun sometimes. They were a bit shadowy with the way they dealt with things. Brilliant idea, terrible execution, because the core aspect of that was aliens don't exist. That in Doctor Who world doesn't work. So you've got a concept there, which for me doesn't matter. Which, yes, you've got an interesting idea, but if you don't actually write it well, and if you don't make it make sense in the universe, it sort of damages, for me anyway, the useful idea, because it's not been done right. And it just felt like Russell was throwing out all these concepts he wanted to do. And the other thing is clever. I'm sorry, how did this Doctor resolve so many issues? By things happening around him, by other people doing stuff, not him. How did he use his intelligence to defeat Omega? Oh yeah, he just shot him with a laser gun.
That wasn't meant to be a gun, because the Doctor doesn't, so he didn't have a sonic like a sonic, because that was like a gun, but he used a gun to finish off. Yeah.
Also, we literally had wishes be a resolution, which is the most sort of, you don't have to make that make sense. We had scenes that never happened in the series suddenly appear to say Belinda was waiting for a baby all the time.
Yeah.
I seriously think that all of this is done just in an effort to make Russell's writing and Russell's perspective still seem culturally relevant and deserving of praise, or in this case, an award. And it's kind of a sideswipe, I think, at the audience who abandoned this to say, hey, this is worthy of a second chance that you never gave it, all you unenlightened people, because look, it's receiving awards.
Yeah. I expected some sort of quote from Russell T Davies, but so many drag nights, not enough time, I suppose. There's nothing from him. They did manage to get hold of the delightful Varada Setu. Oh, I missed her already, everybody. So it fell to Varada to accept this award formally. And she said, thank you so much to the TV Critics Association for this incredible honor. I'm so proud to be part of such a beautiful, endlessly talented group of people who've created this incredible, magical show. I think she's been hanging around Russell T Davies too long. That's 3 Incredibles in 2 sentences. And it just means so much to us to have this recognition. So thank you. I'm so grateful.
So grateful.
So grateful. So magical. What else could someone say? When you read sound bites and quotes and acceptances like this, and that they've been written for people and curated, in this instance, that Varada has probably put this on WhatsApp. This is the way an actual person does speak when they don't really know what to say. But again, authenticity. I'm all about authenticity more and more, particularly when it comes to anything to do with Doctor Who. I don't want to be the guy who complains that Doctor Who gets an award. But, the people in the live chat here are quite rightly saying, where are the awards simply for entertaining a family audience? What is it that he said back in that? In doing so, Doctor Who invited families watching together or separately to have important discussions that transcend their viewing. No, they want their viewing experience enhanced.
Yeah, they probably did have I'm sorry.
They want that shared experience to be something that stays with them for a couple of days. If it's on a Saturday night, David, they want to ideally to still have it fresh in their heads when they go to school on Monday, when you're talking about the kids, so they can chat about it with their peers.
Absolutely. And they probably did have conversations such like, can we watch Britain's Got Talent next week? Instead. And, you know, that's probably what they talked about. And you're absolutely right. But the thing is, I think when it comes to winning awards, there are awards and there are awards. Okay. And I purposely believe that the award has to mean something, because otherwise it's just a statue that's been bought from a trophy shop that's got some writing on. And it's like people who the honours system, you could say, whereby people get honours for the smallest thing possible because they're a friend of a friend and it's services to XYZ. And then there are people who do so much for charity and have dedicated their lives to charity and are awarded an honour because of that charitable work. It sort of cheapens it in a way when the people who probably don't deserve it get it. Do you know what I'm sort of saying there? So I would say that, and I know Luke's quite an authority on awards because he's won so many, and quite rightly so. But I feel that when you get an award from and the justification for giving out an award is so poorly evidenced, then I would rather not have that award, because it just sort of, well, cheapens the product. Do you know what I'm saying with respect to that?
I actually honestly think that of all the awards they have over here, I don't know if UK has an equivalent, but they have something over here called the People's Choice Awards, where the fandom vote, and they even televise it, or they used to. That to me means more than something like this, where you have a small closeted number of critics who, you know, like to go for, you know, the highbrow, or in this case, lowbrow stuff. But like the People's Choice Award, and even the kids, channel Nickelodeon used to have their own version of like People's Choice Awards, where they said like, the best actor of the year, the best animated film. That to me, if I was a producer and actor, would mean more to me getting that, because I know that it's the people who watched and appreciated it that are awarding me more than something like this. Does the UK have like a People's Choice?
Yeah, we have the National Television Awards, which are voted for by the viewers. And I believe that's the only national TV awards thing where all the viewers vote for something.
See, that to me is the only one that matters.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And Anton Deck win it every year because
a great many. Like 20 years. A great many of those legacy shows and boards that have been around for a long, long time flip to the point where they give most of their awards out to people at least partly voted for by the British viewing public, or people who buy music and read books and things like that. So it's fairly even. I think generally speaking, we get it right in Britain. But now and again, you do read of one and you think, oh, really? When they try to sell something. I mean, it's this guy, the guy from the board at the TCA. It's the way that he phrases it. I mean, it's this trying to sell it on the fact that this is he's thinking of the families, thinking of children. When, again, if they were to be honest about it and say, look, you know, we believe in all of these things. Doctor Who did what we wanted it to do. It held its end up of the bargain. It observed all the correct talking points, and therefore it gets our seal of approval. Not all this smoke and mirrors, all this bollocks about families watching. Yeah. It leaves about, because you know you're being bullshitted. That's what it is. And I don't know. I think that maybe some of us are more cynical than others. I don't want to be the guy. I don't want to be this guy. But I must admit, reading through this made me want to vom. It It really did. From one extreme, you talk about these award ceremonies, and they seem to be going on all the time, and some are more welcome. Some are more welcome than others. Doctor Who, it did win the critics. What was it called again? The Television Critics Association Award, Outstanding Achievement in Family Programming. There we are. So that's something, isn't it?
Manson
Whereas
family.
the flip side to that, Gary, is sort of as you were saying, really, because at the same time, just a few days ago, they announced the winners, and not so much, of this year's Hugo Awards, the annual Hugo Awards for sci-fi. It's mostly a literary award for the best science fiction or fantasy works and achievements of the year. It's presented annually at Worldcon. That's the World Science Fiction Convention, again in the States. And these are considered the most prestigious awards in the whole of sci-fi and fantasy, whatever the medium. The awards in this instance are chosen by members of Worldcon, people who've bought tickets who are in attendance over that period of time. So how it's all sort of sifted through, I'm not entirely sure. And they're even named after a guy called Hugo Gernsback, who is the founder of that Amazing Stories, pulpy sci-fi magazine. I think we've all seen the covers, haven't we, to those? Fantastic stuff. So this is about as steeped in sci-fi history as you can get, and with that direct connection to the consumer, to the likes of us. Doctor Who has been nominated several times in the past. A lot of the big stuff has the populist stuff. It's not all the highbrow literary things. But this time, Doctor Who was beaten to the Best Dramatic Presentation Short Form Award it was nominated for, alongside the likes of Agatha All Along, Amazon's Fallout TV show. It was beaten to this particular award by this show, Star Trek Lower Decks. This is a terrible series, in my opinion. Beautifully animated, but nauseating in the extreme, sort of as low on sort of ideas as it is on sense of humor. Just terrible. So Lower Decks has won this award against everything else. Doctor Who, though, didn't just have one dog in this fight. There was two. So both Dot and Bubble and 73 Yards. Is that the title of that? I can never remember what it was called.
Yeah.
73 Yards?
Yeah,
Dot and Bubble and 73 Yards were both nominated for this one as well. Best Dramatic Presentation Short Form. But it was Lower Decks that emerged victorious from this particular battle to come home with a gong. So any Lower Decks viewers here, Luke, have you ever seen that show?
No, I haven't. And to be honest, I haven't really heard of the TCA awards. I've never heard of that. But I did just have a look at some of the other winners. And sorry to pivot, but I think Outstanding Achievement for Comedy went to The Studio. And if you ever want to know, it's on Apple TV. And if you ever want to see how a film production studio is run, go and watch it. They'll give you some semblance of it. It's fantastic, really funny. But no, I've never heard of it. I've never seen it. It looks like Star Trek meets Rick and Morty, to be honest. So
that's pretty much it.
Right, fair enough. Yeah, just by the animation style. Oh, without the comedy.
That's the main problem. It's not funny.
Fallout was fantastic. Fallout was
brilliant.
All right.
I have to step up and say that the first season of Lower Decks was probably the worst season, because I think they were still trying to find the tone. They put too much emphasis, just like Discovery, on the worst character in the show. But when they found their feet, this became, and I hope this doesn't get me kicked off of Type 40, this became a great show once it found its feet.
Okay.
Get out.
And I mean, the homages and reuse of all aspects of Trek characters and settings from all the series was done, respectfully, and it was it became genuinely funny. So I can totally see this winning out over Doctor Who, especially.
I'll take your word for it. I mean, I think I got about halfway into season 2, and it was all the stuff that you said that they were doing better. The more they did that, the more it pushed me away. And I didn't find it funny, but I thought the animation sincerely was great. But it just strikes me that putting something like that next to not just one but 2 episodes of a show which was looking its best in many respects, and which was doing bold things too. I mean, Dot and Bubble, I loved that episode up until the last 5 minutes. I thought it was fantastic. Everything that science fiction can and should do, and Doctor Who, for the most part, functioning as it should. And then there's something like 73 Yards, which showcased a fantastic performance from Millie Gibson in particular, and had a real sense of that sort of classic Amicus or Hammer horror movies just done light. So I can see why those two made it through. So that must be one hell of an animated show then. Well, I don't know how Russell T Davies and Millie Gibson and Ncuti Gatwa will feel about being bested by a bunch of cartoon characters. As I've said, the animation, I can't fault that. It's beautifully made. But no, this staggered me, I have to say. I don't know. I mean, maybe the future, maybe Doctor Who going to animation in that upcoming kids show might not be such a bad idea. Then they might start winning some awards.
Well, am I the one that finds it odd that for this year's awards it was from last series that the episodes got nominated?
That's because of the that's because of the nomination window.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if it's a calendar year, or if it's, say, like, for example, like from February to February, whatever. But if they're giving the awards now, probably the window closed like in November or December last year.
So that means, like, physically they couldn't have. That makes sense then.
Right. Yeah.
I know there's different windows, but I do find it funny when you see, like, oh, that was last year's. It's a fun award.
Gary, you're not alone. There's more fans of this show than I was aware of, but Stephen Braddock appreciates the original Star Trek.
Yeah, that's good.
Yes.
Except for the one with the 50-foot tall Spock. Except for that episode.
Yes. Yeah.
We've got Burn the Witch, says the Peter Venkman fan side. You, Gary. And there was this crossover there. This was part of some sort of portable game that people could play on mobile devices, where David Tennant's Doctor met the Lower Decks crew, sort of. I think it's a mixture.
Hey, Dan, I'm going to say something, Dan. Like, you probably are aware of it because, but I'm not sure. Maybe not. One of the reasons I think that we should all validate Lower Decks is because it decanonized Star Trek Discovery.
Someone mentions that in the live chat as well. Yeah, that's what Duncan, the Funky Evans, said. I didn't stick with the show long enough to find out. Obviously, if they have done that, then that's pretty based. Perhaps I should catch up with it after all. I don't know. Let us know. Let us know what you think. By all means, maybe I am missing out on something. But I've been told that Prodigy was the animated Star Trek show that I should be watching rather than that. So,
especially if you're a Voyager fan.
Yeah, sort of. Low level Voyager fan. So better luck next time, Doctor Who. You've lost out there to Lower Decks, of all things. I doubt Russell T Davies is going to lose any more sleep than he already is. He seems pretty down as it stands. But I just don't think this is a very good look. Having said that, I feel that we shouldn't complain about the TCA award there, Charlotte, where we say it's given by this body because a show does the things it's supposed to do. And here is something that's actually voted for by attendees at Worldcon. So this is what we wanted, and so fair enough, I suppose.
Well, I think that shows, like we were saying about the NTAs, like when a show wins the National Television Awards, it's because people genuinely like the product, because people have enjoyed it. It's not some sort of faceless critic board or something like that. So actually, I would argue, if this has got that sort of actually people going, just normal people voting, it shows Doctor Who isn't connecting with the more general public.
Yeah.
And I think, honestly, those 2 episodes, they had some really good aspects, but because the actual internal logic didn't work, especially in 73 Yards, you could see he had an idea and then it petered off and there was no resolution. And it was very sort of, it made sense because it did, sort of writing. People don't connect with that writing. They want something that they can understand has a middle, a start, a middle, and an end. So if you can do that, and if you can have good characters as well and convincing sort of writing, then that's always going to win, I think, more than something that's a bit out there and a bit wacky when it comes to the storytelling.
To be honest, I don't think that I don't disagree with you, but I don't think those things were factors at all. I think that the silly cartoon show makes people chuckle, makes people feel better. And so that when it came to the point where they're at the convention, somebody stuck a bit of paper in front of their faces or asked them to go on an app and vote for something, they remembered the show that simply in the moment gave them more chuckles, made them feel a bit warmer, and they could perhaps talk about with their peers, whether it was at school or college or work or whatever, the next day or the day after, and everybody could sort of remember that they'd had a generally positive experience. I think that's why people vote for stuff. I think that's why people vote for stuff like this.
Memorable.
Yeah, but to be fair, like cartoon shows usually have actually the audience is usually older people, like the sort of lower decks cartoons and those sort of cartoons. It's not really kids that watch them. It's your teenagers at a push and your 20-somethings and older, because it's attached to a brand like Star Trek. So actually, I think if you're older watching it, you do actually pay more attention to the writing than like if a kid watches Bluey, for example. Like it's a different kind of consuming the product, if that makes sense.
So Doctor Who did not win, despite having 2 horses in the race. The Hugo Award there for best dramatic presentation short form didn't win this time. Bad luck, Doctor Who. Congratulations, Star Trek Lower Decks. Am I really going to have to go and give this another day in court? It sounds like I might have, because I do trust Gary Aker's judgment more than most. Let us know what you think of this. Does this result surprise you? What do you think of awards, ceremonies, and boards, generally speaking? Is it a good thing that Doctor Who was even in this fight, was even a contender, and that a nomination is actually really what counts rather than what actually wins? I don't know. Let us know what you think there. As always, perhaps the future, the answer is in the animated expansion of Doctor Who.
God, no.
David's laugh makes me laugh more than the picture.
Oh God, no!
Coming in 2026.
Maybe they're onto something with this, David.
Was that the winning? Know. Was that the winning studio that's going to produce the CBBS ones, Dan?
We don't know yet. And although we haven't got a quote from Russell T Davies on either the win for the TCAs or the loss for the Hugo Awards, we suspect this isn't sitting with the big fella particularly well at this point. Let us know what you think. As ever, do any of these results surprise you in any way? Let us know in the comments.
This is the Type 40 podcast. You will be exterminated!
Unbelievable.
I believe them. Anybody still confused? With anticipation in the air, because we're nearly done. So be confused no more. Be confused no more. Charlotte, it's that time again.
It is.
You may have got several times. It is very much that time again. Thank you for answering the call. as ever in the heat of that breaking news story. But it is the same, isn't it? When the lights come on, you know, and you start to get those messages, when your phone starts dancing, your phone blows up. That's the expression. The phones blow up with texts. It is. You do need to talk about it. Get it out of our systems. Are we there? Do you think there's more to uncover in the near future?
Yeah, I think we're getting little hints of a plan, but not the whole plan. I think little things are like sort of like the iceberg, tip of the iceberg. It's very much so, and there's a lot underneath.
Yeah.
But no, it's been lovely
Marvellous.
to talk, and like what's good about these sort of shows is we can get different perspectives, and we can sort of have different ideas thrown around, which is lovely as well. Because we've said this before, wouldn't it be boring if we all agreed? So
Absolutely.
I will see you
Couldn't agree
guys
more.
next week for Type
Bye-bye.
Type
Take
40
care.
Live.
Yeah, more next time, Charlotte. Thank you again. Thank you again, as ever. Okay, what next? What next and where? With who? Let's have a quick blast of this guy.
I want that on 4K.
Yes, we're back flying the flag there, not just on Gary's hat, but generally speaking for the talent, dedication and wealth of creativity that's out here in the Doctor Who fandom. It's genuinely second to none. And that's why there never seems to be any shortage of pretty pictures for us to throw up on the view screen here in the Type 40 console room. Yes, so it's that time, pretty pictures time. Yeah, and these are big grey walls. For now, we're stuck with these. Whether a new Doctor will mean a new TARDIS, I don't know. But for now, we're stuck with these. The beauty of that is that we do get to do largely whatever we want because we are sort of the only tenants that the place has got. So help us fill the walls with colourful designs, traditional or digital art. Could be some crafting or cosplay involved, whatever. We'll stick it where we can. In the nicest possible way. So send us its way.
For God's sake.
Our way. And and we can get there. We can get there together and enjoy the fabulous realm of Doctor Who fan art. First of all, one that David has put me in the direction of. So we've got this piece here. Imagine the TARDIS. Imagine the TARDIS resting on a street, walking up to it, and maybe seeing someone or some things that are familiar. In this piece by Mark Braithwaite, you can do just that on what looks like a rather wet London night. It's not actually raining, David, but I think it has been raining. And so, what can you tell me about this? Because you actually brought this to my attention. So, do you want to tell us about it?
Yeah, absolutely. My good lady and I had a few days in York last week.
I knew you'd say York. I knew it because I know exactly where it's on sale as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And we were. It was on the very, very hot day that everybody was experiencing last week, and we were strolling around the Shambles by York Minster, and we stumbled upon an art shop, and in the window was this wonderful picture, and I just went, "Oh, I've got to have a bit of that." And also, the artist, he also is done stuff with LNER and London North East Railway, for those who want to know. And also does lots of pictures of draws and paints lots of pictures of York Minster, but occasionally he gets very bored of doing York Minster, so he does he's a massive Doctor Who fan, so he's got several prints inside of TARDISes and different Doctor Who settings, and and some Harry Potter ones involving sheep, which are just amazing also. And so I just went, how much? And so I've just got to do a little bit of turning around. Actually,
well, the people in the live chat have noticed a few details here. Watch out for the Yeti, says Matthew Pounder. And Yeah, lots of other little things
There's
are
a
visible.
ward.
Why does it have Tom Baker and Bad Wolf on the same picture? Yes, it's got the 4th Doctor there, but the 10th Doctor is also present. I think the 10th Doctor is driving the taxi.
Mm-hmm.
And the
14th Doctor, Dan.
Is it the 14th? Oh, I beg
Blue
your
coat.
pardon.
The 14th.
No, the hair's
but
the hair's.
I think the in joke there is the fact that the taxi sign was the Lozenger logo, of course, that when that was revealed in 2004, half the fandom lost their minds because it looked like a throat sweet. So I think that could be an in joke.
Yeah.
Yes.
I noticed the Daleks to Victory best-selling poster is there. There is a Vord and a gremlin of some kind and a Cyberman.
Cyberman.
Is that the Lady Cassandra that I can see as well, Gary?
It is indeed.
K9 is top of the wall as well on the far right, if I remember rightly.
Yeah.
Where's is he? Let's pan back and see. Oh,
Yeah,
he's in the window.
Top right, and there's a weeping angel right under on the balcony.
This is stunning, David. So you went and got it priced up, did you? Did you speak to the artist or the person in the gallery?
Yes, he is a friend of the artist, who was a lovely man, also a big Doctor Who fan. And then you can see behind me the picture is on the wall. A limited edition. I have got. Sorry, the light might be shining on it, but
oh wow, that looks nice.
I have got there's 850, and I have got number 488 out of 850 from turning around. So yeah, I got it framed. It's on the wall. What I particularly love about it is that Earl's Court Tube Station, as it is obviously on the picture, it does actually have a police box outside it. And if you go on Earl's Court Tube Station on Google Maps and you click on the police box, it takes you into Peter Davison's TARDIS. So
I like it.
So it takes you inside the TARDIS. So I particularly love it because I do also love the design of the sorts of the Art Deco tube stations that came about in the 1920s and 30s. I think they're the wonderful designs as well. So yeah, it just spoke to me. So I paid £87 for it in the frame, and here it is, thanks to my good lady on my wall at home. And
it's absolutely beautiful. We've got several comments in the live chat about it who mentioned how English it looks. Peter Venkman says this is how I expect England to look. There's several people saying similar things. It looks very traditional. And it speaks of history, just as you said, David, with the architecture.
Yeah.
Very cool, says Lord Thoth. There's John Duncan Shaw, Gary.
The thing that I love the most about this is just the sidewalk in the street, the wet sidewalk in the street with all the colors just kind of washing together, and the fact that, I mean, look at the headlight reflection on the street. It's perfect. I mean, that's real art.
Really beautiful. I've only just noticed the number plate of the taxi as well. Who won?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's still, obviously, the website is on the bottom of the photo of the drawing of the painting. There's still, you can still order them online. Mark's from Mark's website, and there are canvas options available as well. I believe. And so yeah, if anybody lives around York, it's I think it's called it might be Art Boutique or something on by the on the Shambles. You can't miss it. There's paintings of York Minster, and Doctor Who has prime. This picture has prime location in the window, and it was a blessed relief on a hot day to find something.
Look at that! Look at that light reflection on the brickwork.
It's
in
brilliant.
the top
It's
right. I mean, that's just amazing.
Yeah, as beautiful as this looks on screen, it's often the case, Luke, that when you see high quality prints or original artworks in person, even when they're framed and behind glass, they can take your breath away, can't they?
Yeah, I nearly bought this last year for Christmas. Me, Mr. Carley, and go. Oh, tell someone good time it. That's how long it took me to say his name. Me, Mr. Carley, and Jimmy Carroll were walking past it, and we saw it. And then me and my missus saw it. So I was gonna get it last year, but I was a bit too drunk, so I didn't. But yeah, it's fantastic, isn't it? It's pretty much just Britain summed up in one image. Or I hope people perceive Britain wet and just full of maniacs dressed as Doctor Who fans. and you feel all the better for it. You feel warmer. It gives you a sense of belonging, and you're like, you know what? You can go to Earl's Court and see that, and you believe that David Tennant could be driving a taxi because he knows what he's doing these days. Yeah, no, it's fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic.
Got a couple of days spare. Gets the job with Uber. The rain adds so much, says Peter Harrington.
Yeah.
Lord Thoth says it's a bargain. We've got lovely colours from Tom at T Dwarf Productions.
I think the actual print itself is £45. Obviously, it was I paid for the thing for it to be framed in the shop, which was actually reminiscent of a scene from Little Britain. You know, the shop in Little Britain, because the chap behind the chap behind the counter just went, "Carol, Margaret,
okay."
Have you got time to wrap another one for me? And she just and she just went, yes.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
It was amazing. So yeah, I'm
What
really worth going to York for. If York's a wonderful city anyway to go to. But yeah, I'm so chuffed we went. And you know, my lovely wife said to me, she said, "Oh, do you want it as a birthday present?" I said, "No, I'm buying it. I'm buying it. I want it now." So, it's just so lovely to see and brilliant art like that. And I think the shop is called Braithwaite, actually, on the Shambles.
It's next to Fat Hippo.
Yes, it is. So, you know.
What's that? A lap dancing place?
I hope not.
www.thestreetartist.co.uk to go and check it out online. Certainly, a trip to York is never a waste of time, though, wherever you are in the world.
No.
Just as the gentleman says. So, yeah, well done, David. What a brilliant piece of artwork. Thank you so much for bringing it to us.
No worries. It's just an amazing find in the least likeliest of places. So yeah, I'm just absolutely chuffed with it. So yeah, it's a wonderful artist, absolute wonderful artist.
We've also been sent something by a member of the Type 40 Live community too, who's been beavering away creating AI illustrations of various different styles. And this is his latest work from the Thin King, who's been going at Tom Baker here. Tom Baker with a twist. And yes, the thing about this is when I see characters like this, and I think the AI is getting better, isn't it? And they've got that kind of less, not everything that you see created by AI looks like a serial killer anymore. You know, there's a sort of warmth there. And this does remind me of Tom's smile. And I just like the texture of the scarf and the spirit in which it was created too, because obviously Thinking is a massive fan of Tom Baker. There aren't many people in the community that aren't, in all fairness, but this made me smile in the same way that Tom Baker makes me smile. And it's almost like a pocket Tom Baker is how I look at it. So well done to the Thinking. Scary, says Matthew Pounder. And Peter Harrington, says that makes you smile. That's how it affected me as well. Yeah. So it's kind of in the same way that like not so much a Funko Pop, but some of the other kind of collectibles that you see. All teeth and curls, quite right, says Funky. Tom Baker looks a bit freaky, says Tom, T Dwarf Productions. And Tom should know he's the master of his own private freak show there. What is he working on at the moment? We may find out in a moment or two. Good grief, says Richard Brooks. Oh, so cute, says Garbage. So, yeah, some people do really like this. Excellent stuff. Thank you again to the Thin King for everything that you send in. It's like a pocket Tom. Yeah, very much. Clever, but the eyes need to be blue, says Richard Brooks. Maybe that would finish it off. Yeah, I hadn't noticed that, but you're absolutely right. He has got blue eyes, hasn't he, Tom Baker? Yeah, Good. Excellent work from the Thin King. Go and find him on social media. By all means, tell him that Type 40 Live say yo. And what else? And finally, as they used to say on the news, this one from our friend Tom at Dwarf Productions. He was telling us how he was beavering away at a Cyberman. Can anybody remember which story this one is from, Gary?
Tom
knows.
The Wheel in Space.
Correct.
Moonbase?
It is.
Oh,
it is from the Wheel in Space. Yeah, it is. I mean, I get them mixed up as well. I can never quite pick the little details, but I think Tom was working on this for quite some time.
Nice one, Tom.
As ever, the attention to detail is mind-blowing, and the glaze too, to the metallic components, particularly the helmet, the heavier parts. It's just going out of his way to show the different textures. You know, it just makes it feel that little bit more real within the world of Dwarf Productions, which is very much Tom's speciality.
I love the cyber slacks.
Yeah.
Really nice job, Tom.
Yeah.
And look,
Well
he's even
done,
got
Tom.
like the details of kind of like the laces on the shoes.
Yes.
You know, even down to the, I mean, incredible detail.
Excellent work, says Rob Alexander. The Moonbase Cyberman design is called a Cyber Telosian. Hang on, is this the Moonbase? I thought it was
Is
the
it
Wheel in
Moonbase?
Space, Tom.
I
thought it was the Moonbase.
Okay, I guess
it
the
could be right.
helmet threw me. I was wrong.
Oh, maybe it is the Moonbase. I apologise, David. I could have sworn.
Me too.
He told me it was the Wheel in Space. But you see, just proves my point. I don't know them either. Charming, says Matthew Pounder. Love it, says Richard Brooks. It's the same reactions as always. He's made an Invasion Cyberman as well. Those are my favourites. Can't wait to see that. And Funky says it's sweet. Something I never thought I'd say about a Cyberman. Who of us would? Nice, says Peter Harrington. So people love this, unsurprisingly, Tom. People do love your work. Yeah, it's absolutely wonderful. We've got a long-form interview with Tom here on the channel as part of our Type 40 Extra series. So go and check that out. And you can find out what he makes them from, how long it takes them, what are his inspirations, and the things that he does when he's not spending time creating Doctor Who monsters. What else does he create, including his own creations too? I'm making Cybermen to celebrate 60 years
Very good.
of the Cybermen. Yeah, I get it. I did wonder what you'd gone cyber mad. Yeah.
Hey.
Oh, and Richard says that Wheel in Space ones have the teardrop.
That's
on the
right.
helmet.
Yes. Thank you,
Of
Richard.
course
That's
they do.
true. Yes.
Of course they do. So David was correct, and we were both
Hey.
wrong. And I've been told the answer as well. I've got no excuse, David. I'm still wrong.
Oh God.
Funky thought it was from the Tomb of the Cybermen. So we're all found wanting, with the exception of Mr. Milling. Tomb. 1966 first appearance, says Richard Brooks. Yes, we know. Love your green promo crab, says Peter Harrington. That's directed to Tom. Yes, so wonderful stuff as ever from Tom Alford at Dwarf Productions. How can you possibly top that? The fact is that you can't. So that's the last entry for this time in our virtual gallery. You know, we've always been champions of Doctor Who fan art and fan artists here at Type 40 Live, and that's not going to change anytime soon, even while we move the furniture around a little bit. So stick with us. We still want more of that artwork to fill up these great big old grey walls. So send it our way, or us its way. We're grateful for everything that's sent in, and there are not any prizes for those that are shown, as they used to say on Take Heart, Heartbeat, and probably on Vision On, for the people who are old enough to remember that as well. Great art, says Richard Brooks. Yes, tell the artist. Great art. The Wheel in Space is my favourite design, says Tom. There you go. So now we know all the gaps are filled in. We can sleep easy. Thank you. Thank you, Tom. And thank you to the Thin King. And again, thank you, David, for bringing that artwork, that superb TARDIS artwork, to our attention. Wonderful stuff. If you'd like to send us some artwork or just your reactions to that artwork, all of that and more, everything in between, you can come and say hello to us. We're going to be saying this for 18 months now. Come and say hello, as always. Instagram and X at Type 40 Doctor Who on our social medias. You can cut out all that if you like and go straight to the Type 40 Facebook group there on Facebook. Facebook may be a bit of a car crash at the moment. Lots of AI moderators and lots of censorship. As little of that as we can possibly manage with over there in the Type 40 Facebook group, a genuine community of fellow Doctor Who fans, of fellow companions and travellers from across the generations of all of space and time. Go and find all of them over there for some of that. And if you want to get your opinions into us, you can do it so easily through the wonder of SpeakPipe. You can leave us a message there, any kind of message at all, any feedback, predictions, for example, any questions, send it in there through SpeakPipe, and it could be featured on an edition of Type 40 in the not too distant future. But there it is. The link is in the video description. Oh, so much good stuff. So much. It's just Doctor Who that's the problem. When are they going to bring it back? Okay, so news but not news. Quotes from people we've never heard of before. Answers after a fashion. And dates. Well, we've got it narrowed down to a year. So we are a little bit better off than once we were. And I consider myself to be a lot better off than I was just 2.5 hours ago before I had this fabulous conversation with four. Where's she gone? She's dematerialized. Oh, there was 4 of you. With 4 of my bestest of Who mates here on Type 40 Live, and everybody there in the live chat on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, and X. Thank you, guys. Thank you for all of that. It's great to have you back, David. And yeah, so you feel refreshed from all that northern air in York. Bring some quality cheeks.
Absolutely. We did a lot of walking, and I can't believe it's 20 quid to get into York Minster now.
Is it 20 sheets?
Yeah, 20 quid. 20 quid per person.
Taking the slash.
It's
a nice place.
It's lovely, but if you want to go into Evensong, it's free, but you can't look round. But yeah, lovely, refreshed in York, and that was lovely. So yeah, we had a lovely time.
Bank holiday Monday, of course, coming up. I suppose that people have got lots and lots of plans. And yeah, we'll be off enjoying a long weekend here at Type 40 Live as well. There will be morsels creeping onto the channel, so make sure you're subscribed. You know what YouTube is like. They do have this habit of unsubscribing people. Subscribe to the channel. Please like this video whilst you're at it and hit the cluster bell so you can get the notifications about what's coming next and when. You can get stuck into our playlist here of previous editions of Type 40 Live. There's our early edition on Monday, very much community-based, focused on what's happening here and now. And there is the Big Who from Thursday too, concentrating in some respects on the legacy of Doctor Who, the history of the show and everything around it. There's our deep dives too, celebrating not just the seasons and the stories, but the figures from behind and in front of the camera. All of that is in our playlist, so get stuck in. Over 200 episodes worth for you to live or relive live or as live there. And you can answer the comments, but in the comment section or in your head, if you like. Get stuck in through our playlists by all means. Make sure you're fed and watered while you're doing it, of course. We wouldn't want to be responsible for people passing out through an abundance of pleasure, Luke, I suppose. So, yes, thank you. Thank you for your company, everybody. It's good to have you aboard. Have you any plans for the bank holiday weekend, Luke? You've got to be doing something. Or was the last week where you completely blown out by all of that, by the Buble-ness of it all?
No, to be honest, I completely forgot it was bank holiday. Yeah, just started this new job, haven't I? So I'm still a bit all over the place.
Discombobulated.
Trying to get to grips. But I think me and the missus is just going to go into Altrincham for the day on Monday and have a nice chill one because yeah, I think that's what we're doing. Normally we go to York every bank holiday, but we're making a change. We're going to Altrincham and just getting drunk.
Sounds cool.
So, very nice.
Very good. Good luck with all of that. Let's know how you get on. If you're cognizant by the time it finishes.
I get drunk a lot. Becoming a bit of a problem. I'm not going to lie.
What's in his mug? That's what we want to know. And Gary Akers as well, mate. Thank you for joining us. for another round, battling our way through the nonsense of the here and now in Doctor
As
Who.
always, the greatest pleasure. We don't have bank holidays here, so I don't know what I'm going to do. Maybe I have a bank across the street. Maybe I'll just go and kind of stand there,
gaze
for
at
the
it.
day. Yeah,
A
just
bank
gaze lovingly
as
at
in
it.
a place where people have accounts, or do you mean like a grass bank?
Yes, like a regular bank.
Oh, okay. I see. Bank has
Well-
two different meanings over here, so it depends on where you are. If you're in the
No, not a
natural
grass
world-
bank, a regular bank.
Gotcha. You enjoy either or at your own discretion, by all means. Of course, we'll be back sooner than you can blink, as always, with more of the hottest of takes here at Type 40 Live, as well as more news for us to cover. Lots of views, a big dollop of nostalgia, plenty of banter and stupid dad jokes, and lashings of fan art as well. So make sure you get that into us here at Type 40 Live. Okay, we've got lots more comments still coming in. Thank you, everybody, for all the contributions. Wow. And we've covered some ground on this one. Breaking news stories are always a real challenge here at this end of the commentators' space, because we know what you're talking about, what you're thinking about. And even if we don't know exactly what your take's going to be, we know when something simply must be covered. And that was very much the case this time. But we've got it out of our system, haven't we, David? I think we've, for now, at least, it's made room, hasn't it? It's made some space. We always have the time. If you have the space here at Type 40 Live, but that is it for another one. Take care. Enjoy your bank holiday weekend. Maybe this is part of your bank holiday weekend. I don't know. Whatever and however. We'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Duggan.
See you off.